Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steph, and in today's video I'm sharing the pros and cons of the Slim and Well diet based on my own personal experience. I'm an overweight woman in my 30s and I've tried the Slim and Well diet more than 4 separate times. Everything I talk about here is my honest opinion, and I will stress it is just opinion, not universal facts, because everyone's experience on diet plans are different. So I'd also encourage you not just to watch this video, but if there are any other videos on Slim and Well pros and cons, just do a bit of research and then you can decide what's right for you. Okay, let's get straight into the pros. So number 1, you have accountability. You have a weekly weigh-in, which gives you a clear check-in point every single week. And you're also around other people working towards a similar goal, and it creates a sense of responsibility. You don't have to feel like you're doing it on your own at home. And there's also something about paying a weekly fee that makes you more committed. It's like because you've paid, you're more likely to show up and stay on plan and not give up halfway through the week. Also, if you can't make it to that particular group, you can go to a different local group on a different day, which is also really convenient. So number 2 is social support and community. So Slim and Well is very social. It's not just following a diet. You're part of a group, and over time you get to know people, make friends, you hear their struggles, their wins, and that can really be motivating. It's especially helpful if you don't have that support at home or you feel isolated in your weight loss journey. Being in a room full of people who get it can make a big difference mentally and emotionally. Sometimes I think as humans we just want to feel understood. So being in a group with people of similar nature or a similar goal in mind, they can understand maybe more than other people who aren't going through a similar path and journey, so you can make some real connections. Next is variety and flexibility with food. So I'll pop up on the screen some of the foods that I used to eat when I was on the Slim and Well plan. You don't have to weigh or measure most of the foods apart from some of the healthy extras, and even then you don't have to weigh all of it. There are some grab and go options as well, and that can feel really freeing, especially if calorie counting has stressed you out in the past. You're also allowed treats within your sin allowance, so nothing is fully off limits, and that can help people feel less restricted. On top of that, there are loads of recipe books and meal ideas which help keep things interesting and stops the boredom. Also, Iceland's have a Slim and Well section, lots of ready meals if you are on the go or you just fancy something quite quick and easy. And this is the teriyaki salmon I had with some rice and some veg, and it was beautiful, and it was the whole meal was free as well, so very nutritious and yeah, tasty. Okay, so next is motivation through milestones and rewards. So Slim and Well uses milestones to keep you motivated. You get certificates for every half a stone lost. You get Body Magic awards for activity, and things like Slimmer of the Week and Slimmer of the Year. There is a weekly food hamper that is made up of members, each bringing in items of food within the plan, and the Slimmer of the Week will get to take home the whole hamper of food. In addition, there is also weekly raffles where you can win ingredients to try new recipes. So these little rewards might seem small, but for a lot of people they really help with motivation and consistency. Another positive is the Slim and Well app. So you get it for free as part of the membership. You put your unique member number in and you can log your food. You can scan products when you're in shops to check their sin values so you can decide whether you want to buy it or not. You can find recipes and listen to podcasts amongst many other stuff on the app. So for people who like structure or need guidance on foods, what will fit their plan, the app can make things feel much simpler and less overwhelming. And particularly now with it being on the app, you've always got it on your phone, so you can look at stuff when you're out and about. You don't have to rely on like your hard copy book and take that everywhere with you. Also, there is some other tools that are helpful to track your progress. Like in the Slim and Well group, you can pick up a journal, a 12-week journal, This, may I just say, can be used at any point. You can get it when you first start. You can continuously have it, so you get one every 12 weeks. I think when I bought it, it was about £5. But the reason why I particularly I did like doing this to begin with. So this, you write your foods every day, and even if you're new or experienced member, there was a lady in my group and she'd lost about 6 stone at this point, and she wrote down her food every single day. Like, she knew what she was doing, but she found it really helpful to visually write it down on the page every day. And it obviously worked for her because she lost 6 stone. And there is also some other good parts in this book. So for example, there's a page before you start the week, and it talks about what your sort of diet and exercise goals are. So how much do you aim to lose? What activity do you plan to do? And it also has a section here for what will you do to stay on track in the week? What might stop you from doing it? And how will you protect yourself overall? And then before you start into the next week, you have a meal planner. So you can write your breakfast, lunch and dinner. And then once you've done your meal plan, you're straight into your week of filling out this every day. And then by the time you get to the end of the week, it's quite good because you have some sort of reflection page. I think there's all different things as well. So like here, it really is like a good journal in that aspect. And also at the back, there are things like this. So you can put a picture in here, you can put your measurements, and you can also put like today's date, total weight lost by the end of the 12 weeks. So another positive is that Slimming World often runs offers and incentives. For example, you might pay for 12 weeks for the price of 10, or you buy 10 weeks and you might get a free recipe book, which can make it feel more affordable and encourage longer term commitment. They sometimes have a refer a friend scheme, which if you introduce someone new, you can get a free week, for example. I don't know if that's all the time or just certain times of the year, but for some people, these little incentives really help with motivation and consistency, especially when money is a factor. Also, when you start Slimming World, you choose in advance what your goal weight is going to be. And then when you get to your goal weight, as long as you stay £3 either side of it, you don't have to pay your weekly fee and you can turn up for free. If, however, you are outside of those £3, you would have to make your your weekly payment, but that also can be a positive. Okay, so let's move on to some of the cons then with Slimming World. In my personal opinion, what I experienced a downside being was the holiday allowance. You get around 5 weeks a year and you have to book it off in advance. If you miss a session outside of that, you still have to pay. So I can see how this works for some people because it encourages consistency and accountability. But personally, I found it quite rigid, and with my mental health, I sometimes needed the flexibility to decide how I'm feeling on the day. And that structure didn't always work for me. Sometimes I got put off returning because if I had a few weeks that I'd missed, even if I wanted to go back, I'd have to then pay £20 or so in one go for the current week and say the 3 weeks I missed beforehand. You can just re-sign up again and repay the join-in fee, but you have a new account as if you were a new member again, so you'll lose any progress. Okay, so another real negative for me and a complete con was how scale focused the weekly weigh-ins are. So especially because my group was an evening group, I weighed in at 7 o'clock in the evening. And over time, I become really obsessed with the number on the scale. I found myself thinking about what I could do to make the scales look lower on weigh-in day. So I would manipulate my food, I would like food timing, I would eat less, I would cut back on fluids, or I skip meals, and I would even have a hot bath beforehand to sweat out any excess water weight. This wasn't planned to start with, but the pressure of the weekly milestones and certificates made me want to hit certain numbers at all costs. Now, looking back at this, it wasn't fat loss, it was just short-term weight changes, and the weight usually came straight back anyway. So if you have an evening weigh-in, I'd really recommend being consistent each week and eating and drinking as normal on weigh-in day so the number reflects real progress in a healthier way. No, another thing that I got upset about once is I went to my group and I weighed in. I had an amazing week. So this is why the scales shouldn't be the only focus, which I struggled with at Slimming World, because it depends on what your goal is, and that depends on what sort of stuff you should track and measure. So for example, this one particular week, I had an amazing week in terms of steps. I've done 10,000 steps every day. This is coming from someone who could barely leave the house. I struggle with mental health. I was so self-conscious and ashamed of my weight. So the fact I got out this week and done 10,000 steps on its own was a real achievement. The second thing, I did follow the diet plan 100%. But also I went to the gym and I done a few weight sessions. I also was drinking more water than usual because of the amount of exercise I was doing. So I went to weigh in and I put on 0.5 pound on the scales, despite me having the best week possible. We were sitting in a circle in group and it got to my name, and my Slimming World consultant, they're called, she looked at me in front of the group and she goes, "Oh, what happened?" And I didn't even know what to say at that moment. I was so angry and I had to defend myself. Like, I did just say to her, like, it's not just, I said, what do you mean, what happened? You're saying that, like, nothing happened. I followed the plan 100%. But I also did a lot of walking and a lot of exercise in the gym, like weight training and stuff like this. So you can get a lot of inflammation when you start either upping your exercise. And I did drink more water that week. So it's just the way in the group, she was like really pitiful, I guess is the word. She was like, "Oh, what happened? You put on 0.5 pound." And after that moment, I was so angry because they don't take into consideration other ways that I had a good week. They just seen the scale said 0.5 pound heavier, and that was sort of it. So if you do get upset with constantly looking at scales and stuff like this could be a negative for you. When I say about manipulating my food, so for example, on a weigh day, I might have my breakfast as normal, but then I might have a light lunch earlier in the day with no carbs. If I drank 3 litres of water a day, I would then drink 1 litre of water a day. And people always wear certain clothes on weigh day as well. It's not accurate, true fat loss. It's just weight manipulation a lot of the time. And I know I'm not the only one that did it. There was a lot of members that they would wear certain clothes, they would skip lunch, they would not eat the whole day to see the scales go down. But as soon as you got home and you ate as normal, you haven't actually lost anything. You put it back on because it's not fat. It's just you've probably got an emptier stomach. So yeah, this for me, I'm quite passionate on this one. This was a negative. Another downside I found with Slimming World is that even though it offers a variety of foods, new recipes, you can eat unlimited amount of free foods until you're full up, it's still very low fat diet. I personally need more balanced macros and more healthy fats in my diet to feel satisfied. You had a healthy extra A allowance, which is your dairy. It still wasn't enough, because if I had daily sins up to 15, I'd want it on something I enjoyed, like chocolate or some fish in batter with some tartar sauce. But instead, I would spend them on more healthy fats like an avocado, which is apparently 9 sins out of your 15. So I wouldn't really have my treat. I'd be using my sins to get more healthy fats like an avocado or a bit more cheese or something. And then I'd have that combined with my dairy allowance, and it still, for me, wasn't enough. So personally, I found it's just too low fat, this diet for me. What I'll do is I'll put up some additional general cons and negatives on the screen, but the 3 I've talked about today were the ones that personally affected me the most. What I would say about Slimming World is I've seen plenty of people succeed with it. It really works for some people, and I still follow some members of my old group who are really doing well with it. They've lost significant amount of weight and they are much, much happier. At the same time, however, I know Slimming World is not for everyone. Some people struggle with the scales and others find tracking sins can create guilt or stress around food. With so many diets out there, it's really overwhelming for some people to decide which one to try. So my advice would be, if Slimming World interests you, do your research, watch a few more videos and see if the benefits might outweigh the downsides for you. Everyone's experience is different, and sometimes you only know what works best for you by giving it a try yourself. For me, I think I'm planning on focusing on a more macro-friendly diet and one where I don't have to be on the scales every week. But I'm open-minded and I'm not ruling Slimming World out in the future, who knows? And I hope sharing my experience has been helpful. If you have any thoughts or experiences of your own, if I've missed anything out, leave a comment below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.